Hello, Potomac Crossing Ward. This is the lesson for Come Follow Me 2020 Book of Mormon, lesson 31. It's on Alma 43 through 52. So this is a pretty large, substantial chunk of text. It's not theologically complex. It's mostly history. So for general comments on 43 through 52, these chapters could be summarized as Moroni versus the bad guys. The history covered in these chapters presents one bad guy after another being beaten by Moroni. So we have Moroni versus Zarahemna in chapters 43 through 44. We have Moroni versus Amalickiah in chapters 46 to 51. Moroni versus the Kingmen in chapter 51. And then Moroni versus Ammoron in chapter 52. While it would be easy to say the underlying message is the good guy survives and wins while the bad guys are destroyed, that's just a gross simplification. The real underlying message is Moroni is a righteous Nephite, and most, if not all, of the leaders he is fighting against are apostate Nephites. The Nephite problems throughout these chapters are not instigated by the Lamanites, but by the dissident and apostate Nephites. If it were not for the apostate Nephites inspiring the Lamanites to war against the Nephites, inspiring the Lamanites to war, the Nephites would never have to defend themselves. Who are the Nephites' worst enemies? It's themselves. It's not the Lamanites. One side note, Moroni's prominence in these chapters is why Mormon exclaims in 48:17 that if all men were like Moroni, then hell would have no power on earth. And this is, very likely why Mormon named his own son Moroni after, this guy. Okay, so general comments on Alma 43 through 46. Chapters 43 through 44 deal mainly with events surrounding a Lamanite invasion inspired by apostate Nephites. Chapter 45 mainly address Alma's departure from Zarahemla, and chapter 46 deals with Amalickiah's leadership over a group of apostate dissenters and Moroni's reaction to them. While the chapters appear to be largely historical, there is an underlying spiritual theme. In chapter 43 through 44, the Lamanites attack the Nephites and fail because, as Moroni puts it, this is chapter 44, verse 4, God will support and keep and preserve us so long as we are faithful unto him and our faith and our religion, and never will the Lord suffer that we shall be destroyed, except we should fall into transgression and deny our faith. Again, that's 44:4. Then in chapter 45, Alma predicts the demise of the Nephites. So this is 45:10 through 12. Behold, I perceive that this very people, the Nephites, shall dwindle in unbelief. Yea, and then shall they see wars and pestilence, yea, famines and bloodshed, even until the people of Nephi shall become extinct. Yea, and this because they shall dwindle in unbelief and fall into the works of darkness and lasciviousness and all manner of iniquities. Yea, I say unto you that because they shall sin against so great light and knowledge, yea, I say unto you that from that day even the fourth generation shall not pass away before the great iniquity shall come. Whilst Alma's prediction of annihilation of the Nephites is still hundreds of years off, we see a similar situation only months later because of the evil desires of Amalickiah. Yea, we see that Amalickiah, because he was a man of cunning device and a man of many flattering words, that he led away the hearts of many people to do wickedly. Yea, and to seek to destroy the church of God, and to destroy the foundation of liberty which God hath granted unto them, or which blessing God hath sent upon the face of the land for the righteous sake. However, again, the believers are led by Moroni and once again prevail because, as Moroni puts it, surely God will not suffer that we, who are despised, because we take upon us the name of Christ, shall be trodden down and destroyed, until we bring it upon us by our own transgressions. So this remains a major theme underlying the rest of the Book of Mormon. The Nephites and Lamanites wax and wane in righteousness for the next 500 years until the final Nephites slide into apostasy. The final act of rebellion results in their annihilation as the Lord abandons them to their enemies. So this is what we call the apostasy cycle. So this is where the apostasy cycle starts in full and is just laid out in very plainly, saying, if we keep the commandments and we do the right things, then we'll do well, and if we don't, then we're going to get wrecked. So this is standard covenant theology, straight out of Leviticus 26 and Deuteronomy 28. And as Alma predicts, they're going to get wiped off the face of the earth. Okay, and then just a few comments on Alma 45, because this is a break from the war chapters. This chapter records Alma's commission to his son Helaman and his subsequent departure out of the land of Zarahemla. From the preceding chapters, it's obvious that Alma is not happy about the way things are going with the Nephites, and it's to the point where it's dragging him down low. So Alma feels like he's just done. He's just had enough. Things have been terrible. And you look over Alma's personal history as is laid out in the text, and it's been pretty rough. So he's just like, yeah, I'm done. I'm leaving. His departure isn't all that surprising, especially when he ends up apparently heading off for the land of Melech. Melech is where the anti-Nephi Lehi's, the converted Lamanites, settled after moving out of Jershon. We see that in 35:13. If Alma cannot deal with the mediocre Nephites, then where better to head than into the company of some remarkably zealous converts, right? I mean, if you're sick of lukewarm guys who are just like not trying very hard, then you go to the people who are zealots, people that you can feel more comfortable with and who will accept you. Now the problem is if he did end up staying with the anti-Nephi Lehi's, then we would assume we would hear something about his reception and time spent there owing to their likely favorable reception of Alma. Instead, there's nothing recorded suggesting he didn't end up there, or if he did end up there, he didn't stay very long. So what happened to him, nobody knows. It's just a point of speculation. I mean, if Alma did stay there among those people, you would assume they would have documented it, and there would have been some, like, hey, Alma the high priest came and stayed with us and lectured us on these topics, and, we had these revelations, and, people would, you would think people would write it down. So this kind of suggests that even though he headed in that direction, he just never got there, or he just took off in a different direction. So, yeah, that wraps it up for this lesson. Again, the comments are on the website, the ldsgospeldoctrine.net website. If you want to read the comments, a lot of which go into verse by verse discussion, so you can check those out at ldsgospeldoctrine.net. And we'll see you next time.